right? So let's start. So, do we remember what corporate strategy was from our first chapter? What was the difference between a business level strategy and corporate level strategy? When do we need corporate level strategy?
We use corporate when a business has many different units.
Yes, more than one business lines, more than one product segment, then we would need corporate level strategy, right? So, mm, so yeah, corporate level strategy, the basic logic or rationale behind it is that if there are several different businesses and each has a value, say, equal to, you know, 10 each, and there are five businesses which have, which independently or individually, they have a value of 10. But if you combine them under one parent firm, under one umbrella level business owner, then their total value would not be 10 plus 10 plus 10 plus 10 plus 10 50, but more than 50, 60 or 70. That is, if they have one common ownership, they come under one uh, umbrella firm, then individually they will create, sorry, then together they will create synergies, right? That is the logic behind corporate level strategy, right? So, what are the advantages of this, of having diverse businesses? One most intuitive, the most common advantage would be that, oh, if one of our business lines, one of our product segments is not doing well, it's not doing great, then at least others are doing well. So we will consistently have a good flow of money, and there would be fluctuations in the market. So if our apparel market, garment segment is not doing great, then at least our FMCG is doing great, or at least our electronics is doing great, right? So to avoid the fluctuations, and we can fund our loss making units when there is recession in that segment with our profit making units, right? So that is a pro of diversification. What are cons of diversification? Well, the bigger your business is, the bigger your firm is, you need more managers. There would be more paperwork, more bureaucracy, more complex, complicated structure, difficult to manage. If you are the owner of a firm, um, then you can pay attention to only so many units, right? If you have 10 firms, it would be very difficult for you to pay attention to everyone equally. But you have only two segments or two business lines, then it's easier to manage, right? So that is the biggest con. Examples. You might not be familiar with this example, but we teach this case in fall and spring semester for this chapter. House of Tata is the name of the case. It's an Indian conglomerate or business group. Do you remember? I told you the story of why business groups or conglomerates are found more in developing nations. I remember that I did mention in one of the previous lectures, right? I explained in detail the story that why, due to institutional environments, they are found more in developing nations, right? So, this is probably the best example. Not best, I mean, there are few more famous firms as well, like Reliance, but this is also very popular. So, you see, It's in FMCG. So this one, Tata Salt, Tata Tea, Starbucks India unit, Himalayan, Tetli. These are all food business, right? Then what do we say? Uh, Consultancy, IT basically, TCS, Tata Consultancy Services, right? But then they are also in automobile business. Tata Motors, Jaguar Land Rover is actually owned by Tata, right? It was a British firm earlier, right? Then airline business, Air India, housing infrastructure, Tata Steel. So you see, they are literally producing everything that you can imagine, right? More popular and more familiar firm would be for you Samsung. I also remember that I did show you how many segments is Samsung present in, right? I think I did, right? So it's in electronics, and they're all generally owned by family. These are all family firms, right? So Lee family owns Samsung. Similarly, Tata family, Tata, they were Persians who fled to India from Iran, present day Iran, in 14th and 15th century after they were attacked by foreigners, Arabs. So these are this family is a Persian family in India, Parsi, and Zoroastrian. So similarly, this Lee family is so there are Lee family, Kim family. These are all different families in Korea which own such big conglomerates or business groups, right? So these are examples of diversified firms. Closer home in US, the examples, the most prominent example would be GE. Um, so GE is in so many different segments, 16 different industries, which you can group into four divisions. But one third of its annual revenues come from its financial services. And GE was the last company that was listed in the initial Dow Jones Industrial Average, back in 19th century, which remained on it for the longest time till 2018. And we'll see why did GE fell, or why do such diversified firms generally face problems in managing because of their complex and big structure. So GE faced many problems in the last 10 years. I remember when I was in my undergrad back in India, GE was considered to be one of the most prominent firms to come on our campus. Like when it used to come to our campus for hiring, students literally they used to get very excited, especially in majors like electrical engineering, electronic engineering, because it used to pay very well. It used to give a lot of perks, and it was considered very prestigious. And students would look forward to getting hired by GE. But in the last 10 years, it faced a lot of problems. Some poor deals, and poor management. So this is what happened last year. It got it broke into two firms, GE Aerospace and um, GE Vernova. By the way, you know who was the founder of GE? Have you heard the name Thomas Edison? Should have heard the name Thomas Alva Edison, right? Who was Thomas Edison?
He invented the light bulb, the phonograph.
Right, right. Yes, yes. Same guy. He founded GE back in 1892. So instead of dealing with the problems that it was facing in its management, it spent a lot of money on share repurchases and dividends to increase its stock price, There would be lesser number of shares in the market, the stock price would increase, but that strategy did not work. And by 2018, it was booted from the Dow Jones Industrial Average. Right. Now, what are different kinds of diversification? So, one is market penetration, that you want to increase the sales of your existing products into your existing markets. But other could be you want to increase the number of products, that is, increase the number of business lines in your corporate firm, or want to make it a corporate firm from a single business line. So that would be product development. Or you want to introduce the same products, that is existing products, to new markets. That would be internationalization, or not necessarily internationalization, even domestically you can expand to other, states. Or the most intuitive image of diversification would be you want to introduce both new products as well as to new markets, right? That is what most firms aspire to do. So, what is our corporate level strategy concerned with? It is concerned with what product markets should we be active in. If we want to expand into new product segments, new business lines, then what business lines should we choose? And how we are going to manage all those businesses together. Mhm. Now, many people feel that diversification does not always create value because it requires a lot of time, attention, and money, and it makes business unnecessarily complex. So they generally feel that even if you have to expand, you should expand into only related businesses. That is, if you are selling phones, if you want to expand, you can introduce a laptop business as well, because at least phones and laptops are somewhat related. Or you can start making your own phone apps. We read complementary businesses, complementarity, right? So if you want to diversify, then at least diversify in some related businesses. Do not diversify that, oh, you are selling phones today and tomorrow you want to sell salt or FMCG or open a restaurant chain. That does not make sense. That is what scholars and market leaders generally believe. But we will see both arguments, both in favor and opposite to this belief, that what are some logics behind why firms expand into unrelated businesses. And one of the primary reasons is that um, they shift their investments to markets where the greatest returns are possible. So the thing that I said earlier, that if you're say like we read in the case of Trader Joe's, I guess, that for retailers like Trader Joe's, Walmart, and all, the profits are very thin on groceries. Groceries do not give them a lot of profits. The profit margin is very narrow in groceries, especially in delivery, because groceries are heavy, and if you have to deliver, then they take up a lot of space, but their total value is very low, right? So we will see something in Amazon and Walmart case, something called value to volume ratio. That is, if I am carrying 1 pound of groceries versus I'm carrying 1 pound of phones. So of course, 1 pound of phones would be like several phones worth thousands of dollars, right? But 1 pound of grocery would be how much? I don't know, 50, $100, right? So delivering grocery is very expensive for retailers, and that is why they discourage customers from ordering grocery delivery. But they want that people come to our store for buying grocery, because when they will buy grocery, they will also do some cross buying. That is, if I have come to Walmart, then I might start liking that, oh, this shirt is really cool, I want to buy this shirt as well. I had not planned to, but because I have I'm seeing it now. So now I feel like buying it, you know. Um, so cross buying is very common, and you might have seen a lot of memes on social media as well that if I go to retailer, I spend so much. I did not plan to, but I end up spending $500 or $1,000, right? So their profit margins on groceries are low, but profit margins on clothing and electronics is very high, right? So if I have business in both, if I have business in several segments like groceries as well as clothing as well as electronics, then I can shift my investment to markets where the greatest returns are possible. So I can use my grocery earnings to fund my clothing and electronic businesses. Do you see the point? What this line is actually trying to make, right? Now there are various levels of diversification. If there is a link between the businesses, then it is constrained. If there is absence of direct link, then it is unrelated. How? So say if I am in single business, for which I will only need business level strategy, when my most of my revenue, more than 90% of 95% of my revenue is coming from single business. Or if my 70 to 95% business is coming from a single business, then it is dominant business. Uh, but if there is only little link, some technological and distribution link, then it is related constraint. Uh, but if it's like GE, related linked, so GE's businesses are not very heavily related, but there you can say that, yeah, okay, fine, some level of relation is there. Like, okay, electronics and appliances, they're not exactly in the same product category, but yeah, okay, they're all electronic items. You know, they might use some components or some metals common, or some chips are common. So there is uh, limited link. There is link, but limited link. Same in Sony. Like Sony is also electronic products, but very diverse kind of electronic products, right? And then examples like Tata or Samsung, who have like 50 kind of businesses, and each business contributes some 5 to 7% of the revenues, and there is very less, almost no common link between the businesses. Maybe two or three segments out of those 50 segments may have some link, but overall majority of the business lines have no link with each other, so that is unrelated. Mhm. So why do these firms diversify? In related diversification, so if like I have uh, a factory that produces both phones and laptops, then I can share some activities. I can share some semiconductor chips. I can share some assembly line. I can transfer some core competency because maybe one engineer who has pretty good knowledge of these semiconductor chips, he can use that knowledge on both producing phones as well as laptops, or something like that. So economies of scope. Economies of scope is different from economies of scale, right? Economies of scale is um, when you reduce the cost of total production by producing in bulk, right? That is economies of scale. But economies of scale scope is sharing activities. So if I am using the same assembly line for producing both phones and laptops, suppose, then that is economies of scope, right? So there's difference there between economies of scope and economies of scale. And related diversification is market power. I have pooled negotiating power. If I was ordering 1 million semiconductor chips for producing phones, and now I have entered into laptop business as well, and now I am ordering 2 million semiconductor chips, then I can ask for a lower price per unit from the suppliers, right? I will have more negotiating power. I can ask for cheaper rates, right? So that is why they also diversify. And unrelated diversification, like this Tata and Samsung, what do they get? Well, as we saw, they can they can tunnel the money, right? This is called tunneling. They can tunnel the money from profit making business to loss making business, or from loss making business to profit making business, depending on the situation. That is the only advantage they have. They do not have any pooled negotiating power. They are not vertically integrating, except say Tata, if it is producing cars as well as Tata Steel, then it can buy from its own mining firm. It can buy steel from its own mining firm for its Tata Motors at very low rates. But most of the cases, it is mostly for internal capital allocation, mostly for tunneling the money from one business to another. And business restructuring. What is business restructuring? We will see in a few minutes. So these were all value creating reasons, right? These all three reasons create value. But are there value destroying or value neutral reasons as well? There are some value neutral reasons as well. So what are these value neutral reasons? Uh, we will cover all of these one by one in the coming slides. So not explaining here. So value neutral reasons could also be something like um, acquiring a similar distribution outlet to neutralize a competitor's market power, right? So if your rival has acquired a distribution outlet, you want to also acquire a distribution outlet solely to neutralize the rival's market power. Value reducing reasons are when the manager, managerial hubris, it is called managerial hubris, that manager, just for his ego satisfaction, because some managers get kicked, adrenaline rush by acquiring new firms. They announce acquisition or merger just for their, you know, play. They just like they treat it as a play, or for securing their own job. So if I am in only one, my firm is only in one business line, and that business line is not doing good, but there is some other sector, some other industry which is performing very well, I might announce entry into that sector, because I know that most likely that business line will perform well because the sector or industry overall is doing very great. So that way I can show to my shareholders and stakeholders that, see, if my one business line is not doing well, so what? My other business line is doing great, no? At least the other business of my firm, other market segment is doing well. So you should not fire me from my job. Or you should in fact increase my compensation, increase my salary, because now I am managing a bigger firm. Now we are in two business segments, and one of them is doing great. So you should increase my salary and not fire me from my job. So managers sometimes diversify just for diversifying their employment risk and increasing their compensation. Right, this we already covered. So economies of scope, as I told you, economies of scope is when you use some common resources or common capabilities, like the example that I gave, using common assembly line, or say if I acquire a firm from some other business line, and now I had say 100 marketing managers in my firm, really good marketing managers, and I was producing phones, and now I acquired a laptop business, and that laptop business firm had 50 marketing managers. Now, do I need 150 marketing managers for the new firm, for the new combined firm? I would not need that many because the marketing managers that I have are really good, and these are somewhat related businesses. So I can cut costs by sharing the resources. I can fire those 50 managers from the acquired firm, and my 100 managers can do the same job for the combined firm. That way I save money, right? So that is transferring one corporate level core competency. It is corporate level competency. It is not using any tangible resource, unlike using a common assembly line or something, but it is using an intangible resource, human resource. Or the same semiconductor engineer that I had in my phone firm can now oversee both um, laptop production as well as phone production. So this is an intangible resource, manufacturing know-how, right? So um, what are some examples of operational relatedness? Like sharing a primary activity, if you have a common inventory delivery system, sharing a support activity. So there are two kind of relatedness. One is operational relatedness, where um, you would use some physical equipment or some intangible resource. And corporate relatedness would be um, when you are sharing or you are bringing a very um, high upper level managerial capability, like work culture. So if I acquire a firm and we do not have anything in common, our businesses are totally unrelated, absolutely no link between the two, but I can still increase the efficiency by bringing a very great work culture like Southwest or Trader Joe's, right? So corporate relatedness, like good managers, is the transfer of level core competencies between separate activities. And there's a risk with operational relatedness when you depend on each other for some um, core activity. Like, for example, if you are using the same assembly line for laptops and phones now, so if the assembly line breaks while producing a laptop, then your phone production is also affected negatively, right? Or if your engineer who was overseeing your semiconductor chips for phones, if he falls sick, then it affects your the other activity as well, your laptop production as well, because um, you are dependent on each other. Or it can also lead to underutilization of the resource. If you had made an assembly line for producing 100 products, 50 phones and 50 laptops, but now say laptops are suddenly not in demand, then the assembly line is lying idle for half of the day because it's only producing phones now, right? So operational readiness, of course, has both pros and cons. Let's see an example. So suppose this is a shop, liquor, guns, and ammo. What kind of diversification is this? one roadside small kiosk shop which sells this one room shop, one big room or two rooms shop which sells liquor, guns, and ammo. What kind
Related?
of? Hmm?
Is it related diversification?
How and why?
The guns and ammo, they are related to each other. I don't know about the listener.
Hmm. Anybody else? See, it is constrained. Yes, it is constrained diversification. You are right because not because uh, guns and ammo are related, but because if one so constraint is when you are dependent on each other, right? So if uh, one shuts down, say liquor business shuts down, then other will also because they're sharing basically the same
The same
building.
space.
Yes, the same
Okay.
space. Yeah. Like constraint diversification, an example is like civilization in earlier times generally grew around water sources and they were constraints, right? So here they have constraint of using the same,
The same space.
economies of a scope. Yeah, same space. Yeah, economies of a scope. This is economies of a scope, right? They are using the same infrastructure or same facility for both the businesses.
Jones barbecue and foot massage. Jones barbecue and foot massage. You better come down here, get some of this shit. You like to eat. America loves to eat. So why not open up somewhere America can sit down, enjoy a meal, and get their feet rubbed? We'll fry anything you want for $5.99. As long as it's friable or edible, we gonna make it deliciousable. We will fry parts of the chicken you didn't even know was friable. The beak, the feathers, we'll fry candy bars. All that European stuff that you don't really normally eat, we'll bring it down here and fry it for you. Ask McDonald's to fry something other than what they normally fry. Guess what you're gonna get? Nothing. If it fit through the dough, I'll put it in the fryer. Hell, this is a dinosaur. All our meats are gently tenderized to their optimum deliciousness. We got fine dinosaur meats. Took my money, made me pay child support. Come on down here and get you a slice. Once they get your social security number, it's over. Motivated, 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 motivated. So friends, let's just decide you don't want no barbecue. Well, that's fine too. Why not let one of my foot specialists or myself perform our magic? Look at that, don't they look wonderful? If you really pay me enough, we'll massage your feet in any of these sauces also. Success is the rule down here at Jones. Good ass barbecue and foot massage. So go ahead and give me a call or find us on the worldwide internets at the new website. That's JONES big ass truck rental and storage.com/Jones. Good ass barbecue and foot massage.html.
Excuse me, did you call number 52?
Did you hear me call number 52?
This is constrained or unrelated?
Unrelated.
This is constrained. It's using the
It is
same.
because they use the same space again, but they are
Yeah.
unrelated also, right?
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. No, it's the same example like the previous one. They're constrained because they're using the same facility, right? I mean, basically, the customers that are coming, they are coming for like both the facilities, right? Then corporate level core competency. So we saw operational relatedness. Operational relatedness is when you can use the same either the physical facility or technological know-how in both the businesses, right? Uh, like using the same semiconductor chips for both the businesses or semiconductor engineers for both the businesses, right? Corporate level core competencies are basically higher level competencies like you have same CEOs for both the firms because the CEO is exceptional, or same people on the board of directors, which is very common in conglomerates. So in Tata's companies or Samsung companies, you will find a lot of people common on board of directors of various Samsung firms or various Tata firms because they're all have same ownership, right? So they would be on the same person would be sitting on five different Tata firms or five different Samsung firms in the board of directors, as maybe CMO or something, or outside board of directors or something like that, right? So they are only bringing their higher level expertise. So it eliminates the need to allocate resources to an existing core competency. Like, for example, the example that I gave, that if I buy a laptop business, then I don't need there are 50 marketing managers because my 100 marketing managers in my present firm are good enough to do marketing for their products as well, right? And so most of the resource in corporate level core competency is intangible or human resource, right? Because there is very less link between, or almost no link between the businesses. So the resource cannot be tangible. It's only intangible, right? Then firms diversify for market power. What is market power? Market power is like if you are able to sell your product at a higher level than your competitors, or you are able to cut the price in uh, inbound logistics, like more negotiating power while negotiating with suppliers. So you can cut that below the competitive level now because you have diversified. So the example that I gave earlier, that if I was ordering 1 million semiconductor chips for my phone business, now I order 2 million because now I'm entering a laptop business as well. So that increases my marketing power to negotiate for lower prices with suppliers because I'm ordering higher number in bulk, right? So that is marketing power, market power. So that can happen either pooled by pooling resources or by vertical integration. So vertical integration, we know, if we start producing our own raw materials, then backward integration, like Tesla was trying to do with producing its own seats, or if Tesla starts making its own tires, or having your own distribution channel, that would be forward integration, right? So yeah, market power can also increase by you know multi-point competition, by entering more geographic areas as well, by entering more geographic areas, or more product segments, multi-point competition or multi-market competition that we saw. So when you start making more products or by more geographic areas, then it would uh, then you can pool your negotiating power, or by scaling and vertical integration. And why do firms try to vertically integrate? Um, One reason could be protecting your technology from imitation by rivals. So, if I'm getting made my semiconductor chips in some facility in China, then there is a risk that, because semiconductor chips are, say, supposedly the most important component in my electronic product, be it phone, laptop, or something else. And I have a fear that the company there, which is producing my semiconductor chips, might one day decide to produce their own phones and become my competitor. Because now they have learned how to make the best quality semiconductor chips. So product protect technology from imitation by rivals. So that could be one reason why I decide to vertically integrate, right? Or you want to get access to more information and knowledge that are complementary. That I decided to vertically integrate. So I was a phone making firm. I decided to vertically integrate in some virtual reality or gaming company because I feel that my MacBooks or my iPhones should have most amazing games because I know that teenagers like buying products that have good video games. So you want to have access to more information and knowledge that are complementary, right? I want to start making my own gaming consoles or something. Or when no market prices exist for connected assets. So there is high search or transaction cost. What is the example? What does it mean by this statement? So we remember that there are only two main firms in civilian aircrafts, Airbus and Boeing, right? We discussed that example in one of the previous lectures, right? Now, because there are only two firms, so there are not many firms who make aircraft wings or aircraft components. So if there is no industry to make aircraft wings, so rather than wasting time and energy in finding a wing manufacturer, you can do it yourself. Why not do it yourself than trying to find that, who can make some great aircraft wings? Because there is no proper developed industry for that. So why waste time and energy in search cost or transaction cost? Because you have no point of reference or datum to know what is good cost to make aircraft wing. They can charge you anything. They can quote any price, and you would be forced to say yes because you have no point of reference. There's no other firm doing that, right? So rather than high search and transaction cost, do it yourself. So all these are the reasons for vertical integration. What could be some drawbacks of vertical integration? Well, some of the reasons are the same that we discussed in the Boeing example. Maybe outside suppliers, they can do it at a better cost, or if you start doing everything yourself, then you need more managers to oversee every step of production because you are now doing right from making your raw material and so there would be more steps in production for a firm. So there would be more bureaucratic costs and more coordination costs, right? And now if you want to do everything yourself, then say an automobile firm wants to vertically integrate, then they will have to invest in making their own rubber production for tires, make their own electronics for their cars, make their own seats. So they will have to invest heavily in a lot of technologies and infrastructure, and they will have to consistently upgrade them, right? So these are some of the drawbacks. And yeah, so recently, in the last 30 years, many firms have focused on de-integration, and they have divested a lot of non-core businesses like GE was forced to do a few years ago, and focus on their main businesses. And it really depends on the industry you are in and your individual conditions of the firm. But are there any examples where one can have both operational relatedness as well as corporate relatedness? Very rare, very rare. But we do have some examples. And the best example, one of the best examples could be Disney. So what all sectors is Disney present in? What are industries can you think of for Disney?
Theme parks.
Theme parks, yes. One.
Movies.
Movies, two.
Entertainment.
Entertainment is a very broad term. You need to specify what particular kind of entertainment you're talking about.
Toys and
Right.
games, like the online games and toys.
Right. Yes. Online games and toys.
Cruises, like travel.
Yes. Cruises. OTT platforms. Has Disney Plus channel as well now, right? So it produces movies. It then releases the same movies on on OTT platform. Then it makes a theme park based on the characters of the same movies, right? Then it uses them for merchandise, cruises, and whatnot, right? So, uh, technically, you would think that cruises, theme parks are very different from movies and OTT platform. They're completely different segment, completely different industry. But in this particular case, they are related a lot. They have a lot of operational relatedness as well as corporate relatedness, right? There's a lot of synergy, right? In everything that Disney does. So, this is an example. Then, unrelated diversification. Unrelated diversification's only benefit is financial economies. That is, you can use the money to fund different things. Now, say for example, so there's a firm that I mentioned, Reliance Industries in India. When I was in the first three slides, when I was explaining Tata. So Reliance Industries is also a conglomerate or a business group, as it is called sometimes in India. And actually, that guy is world's in top five richest people, top five or top 10 richest people. Okay, Mukesh Ambani. So Reliance is in several businesses, like oil business, infrastructure, and about 8 years ago, it decided to enter telecommunication business, like AT&T and T-Mobile. Okay, and at that time, India had about 8 or 10 um, big firm, like popular firms in telecommunication. Okay, even Tata was there. Tata had Tata Docomo. Okay, and what this firm did, Reliance did, it launched world's cheapest internet that time. Like you get like 1 or 1.5 GB 4G at that time, 4G, 1.5 GB per day for like how should I say in dollars? So like monthly expense was like $2 or something for the whole month. I don't remember the exact rate. I'm just giving an example. And people went crazy that, oh my God, this guy is crazy. Like, this is giving you such high speed internet at such a cheap price. And I think it came with a phone as well. I was one of the first, like, I bought it like within the first month or first week or something. So I was one of the earliest customers of that. So, and it devastated and destroyed the competitors because others were not able to compete with the price it was giving. Now, see the difference. Other firms, like other prominent firms, now there are only three, I think three or four firms, just three or four firms in telecommunications in India. All others exited the market because the rival firms like Airtel, and there's another one, I am forgetting the name. Idea, yes, Idea and Airtel. They are present only in telecommunication business. Their only source of earning, their only revenues come from phone subscriber, like phone customers, telecommunication customers. But Reliance has multi-billion dollar, probably in trillion dollars oil business as well and other businesses as well. So it can fund the losses of its telecommunication business through its other businesses. Do you see what is happening? So it can keep funding the losses of telecommunications through oil business and other businesses till it gains monopoly or duopoly in the telecommunication segment. That is exactly what it did. That is what happened. Right? It killed all the rivals and it gained market power, market share in other industry, in a new industry. Right? So that is what you can do with unrelated diversification. One would say that, hey, what is the use? What is the use of entering telecommunication business when you are doing well in oil business or infrastructure business? Well, I want to gain supremacy. I want to capture more industries. I want to become more powerful, right? So that is what we mean by efficient internal capital allocation and restructuring of assets. Restructuring of assets is basically, in short, you buy a loss making business when it is going through severe recession. So suppose there is severe recession in automobile business at some, like it was in 2008, some banks and some automobile firms were, filing for bankruptcy. So if I am, say, McDonald's or Domino's, I may immediately buy General Motors because at that time General Motors assets are worth $1 billion, but because it is filing for bankruptcy, I can buy it for $100 million. And then when market recovers and when the automobile industry becomes profit making again, then I can sell it for $10 billion. That is what is called restructuring of assets, and many firms do that. They buy loss making firms through recession phase and then they sell them again at a higher price when the market recovers, right? Yeah, so uh, see, what happens in these unrelated businesses is that um, when they um, when they publish their annual reports, uh, and you guys must be familiar with those 10K reports, earnings calls, right? Many of you are here from finance and accounting background. So you must have heard these, or maybe even worked on some of them. So in these earnings calls and 10K reports, annual reports, Firms do not always give true picture of what is the accurate standing of that firm, accurate financial and strategic standing of that firm. They hide things. It's not that necessarily that they are lying, they are just hiding some things, or they are presenting them in such a manner that you won't be suspicious. But only internal people know that how it is performing. So say take this case of Reliance. It might have gained a lot of customers initially at a very fast pace when it entered telecommunication market, but because it was offering such high quality internet at such a low price, definitely it was making a lot of losses, right? But it might not publish its financial reports fully, and it might only show the growth of customers, that within first 3 months we gained 100 million customers in India, fastest growing telecommunication firm on the planet, something like that. And you would be amazed, the market would be amazed, the investors would be amazed, the stakeholders would be amazed, but only it knows that how it is actually funding it through its other businesses, through internal means, right? So that is what efficient internal capital allocation does. It masks your inefficiencies or failures in certain segments. And how do you mask them? Through your successful entities or successful businesses. And because unrelated diversification has no other benefit except financial economies, and it only makes your business complex and complicated, difficult structure to manage. That is why stock market analysts often assign conglomerate discount when valuing the firm. So if if you had 10 businesses of 10 value each, then instead of making the total value 100, stock market analysts assign it a value of 85 instead of 100. Especially in developed countries. In developing countries, that not does not happen always, because we know that conglomerates and business groups are generally found in developing nations. Unrelated conglomerates and business groups are generally found in developing nations because of institutional environment there is not properly developed. But developed nations where institutional environment is very well developed, there they assign this conglomerate discount. And that is why when a firm announces an acquisition, its share price generally falls. So acquiring firms, if General Motor announces acquisition of a firm, then General Motors share price 90% of the time, so most of the times, will fall. But the acquired firm, the firm it is acquiring, the target firm, its share price generally increases. Understood? Able to follow? Acquiring firms share price generally falls. Acquired firm or target firms share price will not fall, it will increase, or stay the same or increase, because the acquiring firm's acquisition announcement gives a signal that uh, you know that acquisitions may not be successful. And why it gives a signal that acquisition may not be successful? Because when we reach the M&A chapter tomorrow or day after tomorrow, then we'll see that most of the M&As fail. Majority M&As are not very successful. Restructuring of assets. Yeah, as I said, when companies are bought at low prices in the midst of a recession and sold during a time of market expansion. But you cannot do this in every industry, because if you do this in technology industry, then in technology industry, which is a fast moving industry, fast cycle industry, right? We remember, then innovations, the process and products become obsolete in short term periods. Assets become very obsolete. Innovations take place at a very fast pace. So by the time you sell those assets would have become obsolete. Similarly, you cannot do this in service industry like hospitality industry as well, because uh, what would you do if you buy a hotel firm? You will only get its what do we call it? Like its buildings, infrastructure, the fixed assets, or uh, the assets which are the buildings of the hotels. But that is just infrastructure. You can buy infrastructure anywhere. Why do you have to specifically buy a hotel for that? Because the main USP of a hotel firm, a hotel industry, is its human capital. Service. How good service are they providing? um, which are intangible. So that is why in these kind of industries like technology industry and service industries, this restructuring of assets would not work well. Now, we saw there are three types of reasons for diversification. One is value enhancing, one is value destroying, and the third was value neutral, right? What are value neutral reasons for diversifying? Value neutral reasons are like one is antitrust regulation. What is antitrust regulation? So during 1960s and 70s, antitrust laws prohibited mergers that increase market power. So neither you can acquire a firm in the same industry. Horizontal integration would be acquiring your rival or competitor. That would be horizontal integration, right? And vertical integration would be acquiring your supplier or distributor. So neither you could acquire a rival nor you could acquire a supplier or distributor. So what option do you have? Acquire some unrelated firm. Acquire some firm which is not in your industry, neither you are connected with it through supply chain, right? So as a result, most companies were forced to combine unrelated diversified businesses. Then when antitrust enforcement lessened, then they sold those businesses and divestment. They divested those businesses, and then most of the M&As happened in either horizontal or vertical integration. So this was first reason. Then another reason was tax laws. So at the same time, in 1960s and 1970s, dividends were taxed more heavily than were capital gains. What are capital gains? What is a capital gain? Someone please define capital gain for us. Yeah, Robert, you can speak.
Well, it's the like profit earned off of an investment. So like say a stock investment, if you invest $100 and it goes to 150, you would have a $50 capital gains.
Yes, so capital gain is on stock or anything. So even if you sell your property, like real estate property or some infrastructure, then that is also capital gain. So basically, the gains that um, you get from selling any capital investment is capital gain. So they would be you have to give tax on that as well, and you have to like firms give dividends to their shareholders, so they also get taxed. Now dividends were taxed more heavily than were capital gains. Now if I am a firm and I want to provide value to my shareholders, now I can provide them value through two ways. Worst way is dividend. I can give them dividends, but I know that dividends would be taxed heavily, and that's not good. So what do I do? I can provide them more shares. How can I provide them more shares? I can acquire a firm, and when I will have more firms, I can give them more shares, and they can get value through capital gains, so they can avoid higher tax on dividends. So that is what they did. That is what the firms did. They acquired businesses in high performance industries, which would be a better use of their return through distribution than through dividends. I can increase the number of shares instead of increasing dividends, right? So that was another value neutral reason. And then third reason is this one, like depreciation, basically, by lowering a company's taxable income by showing depreciable assets, right? Would somebody like to explain or comment on it? I guess some of you are accounting background, so you can explain this for us. I am not very great at accounting, honestly. Nobody? How does a firm get benefit if it has more depreciable assets? How does it lower its taxable income?
Or would it be from using write-offs?
No, I'm not sure. I'm
I
asking.
I
Hmm?
guess it's because when like the depreciation like every year the depreciation like increases kind of erodes the profit that the profitable income that company has. I guess that's how it helps to lower some tax.
I believe they also have like incentive programs like 401ks. Those are all like tax deductible in the US. And like um IRAs and stuff. Like when companies match that to employees, that's all tax deductible for the company side.
Hmm. So yeah, as you guys said, I guess by showing lower value of assets. So your value of assets is decreasing every year, right? Probably through that. Uh,
Yeah, that's through depreciation of like property, plant, and equipment depreciation.
mm, yeah. Um, I don't have very in-depth knowledge of accounting things. Accounting was one of my weakest
I guess
subjects
it's
in.
because you spread the cost of the asset over the lifetime of the asset you bought, and then you depreciate that every year by that amount, and then you
Yes,
don't pay
yes.
tax on that amount.
Yeah, I think it used to work like that, but now with this big beautiful bill, it seems like you're able to write all of it off in 1 year, which is pretty interesting.
Interesting. I'd like to study more about these things. Yeah, so these were all value neutral reasons why firms diversified in unrelated businesses. So research shows that it's always great to have it's always great to diversify in businesses which are somewhat related, rather than relying on just one single business line, because there is more risk if it's just a single product segment than if there are fluctuations in the market. You are relying solely on just one source of one stream of revenue. So it's always great to diversify a little, but diversify till a point, but do not go too much into unrelated business, because then it unnecessarily makes your structure complex and difficult to govern and manage. So that is what the evidence suggests. Then there are other reasons like maturing product line. So do we remember Kodak and Canon cameras? I mean, some of us might remember at one point of time we used to have Kodak and Canon cameras, but as when phones came with cameras, then it realized that your product line is maturing and you do not have anything better to offer the customers. So then you would have to diversify because you will not survive otherwise because phones are gonna eat up all your customers who are gonna buy your cameras. So uncertainty about a firm's future cash flows. Synergy, we know the meaning of the word the same way. 10 plus 10 plus 10 plus 10 plus 10 should not make 50. It should make more than 50. If five different businesses are coming together, then the total value created for the parent firm should be more than 50. That is what we mean by synergy. But that would also risk corporate failure because if you are too dependent on each other, then if one business fails, then other might also fail. That can also happen, especially if they are very related. Like if liquor, guns, and ammo is forced to close down because they sold liquor to someone under 21 age, then their guns and ammo business is also going to close down because they were using the same building, right? So that is synergy. Yeah, this we have already covered that your resources should be valuable, rare, costly to imitate, and non-substitutable, and that your intangible resources give you more competitive advantage than your tangible resources. So we are already familiar with these things. So let's move to an example. So read this case, short case. I'll give you about 5 to 10 minutes, and then we'll discuss it. All right. So what is the business here? What is the firm doing? What is the firm doing, and what is the dilemma it faces?
So basically, Amul is a milk product company. It's like
Hmm.
basically like a dairy product company, which
Hmm.
sells a lot of dairy products like curd, paneer, cheese, and other chocolates as well. And the
Okay.
dilemma it's facing is that since it expanded its product line and other products that they're going into, they're facing challenges within supply chain and other products which lack a lot of retail presence.
Hmm. Yes. So it's a milk company, mainly milk company and milk products company, and the dilemma that it faces is that it wants to expand into other products, but it does not have the supply chain for that as of now, and visibility because customers mainly identify Amul with milk and milk products, right? That is the dilemma it has. Now, what is your opinion? Should it expand beyond milk products or not? What should be its strategy? It's basically a diversification question here.
I think it should stick to dairy products itself. I personally have used Amul for as long as I can remember because I'm also from Mumbai, India. And
Hmm.
I've grown up like drinking all Amul products, and it's like well like renowned over like my local area as well. And
Mm.
them expanding within something other than dairy products, I don't think it's a great thing because their entire business foundation is about like dairy products and people trust them with the best dairy like quality products. So I think they should stick to dairy products.
So, so why does it matter that they want to venture into new avenues? Because introducing new products or entering new business line does not mean that their dairy products will become inferior or of low quality. So why does it matter that they should not enter other product segments? What does that have to do with their milk business?
I think the number one reason being they lack supply chain already and retail presence for their other products. So when they're
Mm,
trying to compete within other international companies who already have a set presence like theirs within
mm.
those other products that they're trying to expand in, I feel like that they'll be losing money into that and it'll kind of be like a lost cause for them. That's my opinion.
Okay. So this was an Indian opinion. This guy has consumed Amul his whole life. So I would like to hear someone who is not familiar with Amul.
I'm not familiar, but I think they should expand because all the products they are trying to expand into are using milk. So they already have the core business, the whatever. They would use milk to make the curd, the paneer, the cheese. They have the knowledge and the resources to make that, and they already have the customers and the brand loyalty. So I think they should
Mm.
expand.
Okay, good. Good to have another
Wait,
opinion.
I'm sorry,
Mm.
I actually got confused that they were expanding within dairy products. I think if it's dairy products, then yes, they should.
Yeah, I mean, the question is both even within dairy products as well as beyond as well. So,
Oh.
take for example, cake. Should they make cake? Should they start making cake or not? That could be also a question, right? So now cake lies on the border of dairy and non-dairy products, right? Kind of. I
Yeah,
don't know what all ingredients go into making cake. I'm not very
yeah,
familiar,
yeah.
but yeah. I mean, yeah, I would ask the same question. Why not? If they want to start making cakes, then why should they not make? Other people, um, you should participate because, as I said,
Um,
participation has points.
Question.
Yeah.
I think I was wondering like I agree with like what Jay just said like about they expand to like dairy products, but I was wondering, is it possible for like this kind of company to use their supply chain to like making profit? Is it also considered like di diversification?
Um, so the farther they go from dairy products, the more it will be called diversification, right? So if they start making, say, chips, uh, something like that, or those kind of products, then I think it would be called diversification. I mean, it would still be under FMCG, but
Mhm.
they can use the same supply chain because milk products like milk, cheese, paneer, butter, and all, they also generally go at the same store for selling where these things will go. The non-dairy things will go generally, right?
I
So they
see.
can make use of the supply chain in that way.
Yeah. And also I'm wondering like I think it says in the case it says there's a one about like 100 SKUs. It's probably gonna be like a big amount of like resources to use, and I don't think it would be like a good strategy to have like, I mean, um, to like enter the market like with huge resources that not related to dairy product.
Okay. Yeah. Uh, that's one view.
I
So,
have I have one thing
uh,
to add.
hmm,
Um, Something I saw like 2 years ago that Amul did was to increase their sales for paneer, and like when they were just coming out with paneer products, they came out with a marketing campaign where like they were coming out with 2 liters of, if you buy like 2 liters of their milk, they'll give you 50 grams paneer for free. So that's something that they did. And actually, it worked out pretty good too, because at least in my family and like my household, like we started like try out paneer from Amul
hmm,
because it tasted better. As well
hmm,
as Amul recently also started to create campaigns to target this young generation who cares about like protein intake and all of that. So they started to add in like within their paneer products or like dairy products that this product of theirs has like 50 grams protein, that like
hmm,
had like youngsters and like young generation who are health conscious to
hmm.
get their products more.
Yeah. Actually, yeah, Amul has like the one of the best marketing team and campaigns in the world. Like, there's absolutely no match. Like, amazingly innovative since 60, 70 years. Like,
Absolutely.
what they come out with the punchline every day, new punchline related to the event, like a popular event. Like, very
Yeah.
few firms do that. Yeah, we'll see all this. So what Jay said, that people generally identify Amul with milk and milk products. It's a very valid point, and we are going to discuss exactly that. So there is something called sun and planet model, right? So, excuse me. Um, so sun and solar system. What is the first planet of the solar system closest to the sun?
Mercury.
Mercury, right? So if milk is sun for a mole, what would be mercury for a mole? Direct derivative of milk.
Yogurt.
Yogurt. Yogurt would be one. Yes. What else? What about cheese, curd, paneer? They would also be all be mercury, I guess, right? Yeah, they would also be all be mercury.
Yeah.
Yes or no? No.
Yes.
Then second planet. What is second planet? Somebody else. Jay, not you. Somebody else. Basic middle school science question. What is second planet of our solar system?
Venus.
Venus. What would be Venus for Amol?
Maybe like chocolate.
Hmm. Chocolate. What else?
Some of the frozen snacks they're trying to expand to.
Yeah, ice cream. Ice cream would be Venus. Hmm? Yes.
Yeah.
Hmm. Chocolate ice cream. Okay. What is third planet?
Earth.
Hmm?
Earth.
Earth. Yes. What could be Earth for Amol? Protein supplements, powders, probiotics. right? Don't say beef. uh, so that would be third orbit, right? So the sun and planet model says that a firm should not go beyond the third orbit with the same brand name. Okay, that is no go area under current brand name. What is fourth orbit? Oh, sorry, what is fourth planet?
Mars.
Yeah, uh, I don't know what you can say for Mars for a mole. I guess I don't know, cake or something. I don't know. I don't even know whether cake uses some dairy derivative or not. But yeah, sun and planet model says that if you want to go beyond the third orbit, then you should go under a different brand name, as Jay said that uh, people identify a mole with milk and uh, milk products. So you can come up with a new brand name to enter. If you want to make some, I don't know, like Cheetos or something like that, popcorn or Cheetos or something. So, what are the advantages of this strategy? Focus product brands, right? Targeted at specific customers. Others to mutually exclusive, collective exhaustive means the firm's names are mutually exclusive. They have different identity, different marketing. But for a firm, the revenues and profits are collectively exhaustive. The problem with one brand has a minimal effect on other brands, and the firm can enter multiple categories, consumer segments, and geographic markets. Right? So if it has to enter certain, geographic areas where it wants to sell something that its home market does not like that product, or it wants to does not want to sell something, say if it's a firm, say if a Middle East firm wants to enter a market where pork products are very popular, and they don't want to hurt the sentiments of their home market, then they might want to enter under a different brand name, or places where some kind of meat which is considered, I don't know, like dog meat, or something else. They don't want to hurt the sentiments of their particular market, then they might want to enter with a different brand name or something. So those kind of things they can make use of if they uh, enter under a different brand name, right? What are pawns? You would need different marketing. You would need to build that brand. It makes your structure complex, less synergies, because in dairy products, um, you were able to use the same warehouse, the same production facilities, because everything is milk derivative. But if you start making, I don't know, some chips or Cheetos or popcorn or something else, there would be less synergies, right? And if all of its brands are doing great, then it would want that people know that it's the same brand which is doing so well in all the different segments. So it would want to get the full credit as well, right? So Examples: Nestle. Nestle is regarded as a house of brands. So it has some linked brands, some non-linked brands. This is called master brand and sub-brand model. So it's not just Nestle, P&G, Unilever, many firms do this. Um, Amul entered US market last year, and as I said, Amul has one of the best marketing teams in the whole world, like amazingly good. So for the last 70 years, every single day in the newspapers, Amul would publish a small ad where they would have some quirky line related to what happened yesterday, the talk of the town yesterday. So if, say, US did something in Venezuela, it would come up with some very funny, quirky line, one sentence, just one short statement, and one cartoon, the same. So this is the what do we call mascot, right? Mascot. So we have mascot, right? We have mascots for Olympic Games. Uh, how do I explain? How would you define or explain mascot? It's a representative of that, right? So this girl that we saw here, she's a mascot of Amul. Uh, I hope I'm saying the right word. I'll check later. So there would be this cartoon and one quirky line related to whatever happened yesterday, the talk of the town or whatever is trending on internet or news. And that is how they market their products. And people really like that kind of they look forward to what Amol will publish tomorrow. What happened today that Amol is going to discuss tomorrow. So that is the kind of marketing they have. Now, there was, I know cricket is not popular in US, but there was this Cricket World Cup last year in US. There was few games in, the games were in Caribbean islands and US. So there are few games in New York, Texas, Florida. So US cricket team. So USA has its own cricket team as well. And their primary sponsor was Amul. Now, why did Amul decide to sponsor US? Because Amul entered US last year, right? So Amul needs visibility. And USA cricket, because cricket is not popular in US, so US cricket team is not going to get sponsors, at least not American sponsors, right? Because even the players and the viewers are also mostly from Indian subcontinent, right, or Commonwealth countries. So it was a symbiotic relationship, a win-win situation for both. That US cricket team would get uh, their own the US cricket team would get a sponsor, and Amul would get a um, foot in the door. Like it would get an entry medium to enter US, a marketing medium, right? So whatever few Indian Americans or people of from Indian subcontinent origin or some Americans who are interested in watching that, at least they would come to know about this form, right? So that is why they decided to sponsor cricket team. And similarly, another competitor from India, they decided to sponsor Ireland and Scotland cricket teams for the same reason, that they also want to expand internationally. So they want some entry medium, and the local teams, Ireland and Scotland, are small nations. Their cricket teams are not that big there. So they also needed some sponsors. So it was a symbiotic relationship between the two, right? A win-win situation for both of them. So this was diversification. Did you like what we discussed today? I hope you liked it, because this chapter, mergers and acquisition, corporate governance, these chapters are a bit longer than the previous chapters, but also very important and very interesting. And if I remember correctly, many of you are from finance and accounting backgrounds. uh, you would really love it, because that is what you would do, and you join Goldman Sachs or Bank of America or Morgan Stanley one day. All right, so this was for today. If you have any questions,